Hello everybody, welcome to Digital Art Book Publishing Week 2. Thanks again for joining us. So this is a 2-week shorter masterclass, but the goal here is to go over desktop publishing tools using the Affinity Publisher software. And for any digital artist to be able to take their materials, make them into still images that we can then put into some sort of a published format. So our goal here is to put some highlights together from past workshops of digital arts and to make a published book at the end of the day. So again, thanks for all our partners in this project. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts, then we have our library partners. So we have the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. Now, the software we're using is the Affinity Publisher software. So it's a low-cost app. And the great news is that you can either purchase this, it's about $75 to just own one-time fee, or you can access it through our Digital Arts iMac computers. So all our library partners, all 3 of our library partners have 2 iMac 27-inch computers that are fully loaded with all the Affinity software. So it comes with Affinity Photo, Designer, and Publisher. So Publisher is similar to the Adobe InDesign. And it's designed to be able to create these kinds of published works. So with photos, images, text, and to be able to then publish it. So that's the goal here. So if you want to, you can access now with the reopening and everything, you can access the library and the computers through all our partner libraries. So again, Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, Wasaga Beach Public Library. All 3 libraries have these 2 computers. So everything we're talking about today, you can then redo and rewatch right from where you are to do the Affinity Publisher. If you missed last week's class, don't worry. The ticket that you're on, the Eventbrite that you signed up for, you'll be able to go back and rewatch week 1 and then watch week 2, and you can replay them later. So don't worry about taking notes as we go. Just enjoy, sit back, and we're going to go through this. So here we go. Let's start this up. So what we're going to look at today is how do we add text? How do we add the different elements? We're going to continue adding our images. Then we're going to look at working with the persona modes that we can then use to adjust things. So for example, we can use it to adjust our images. So we can make, let's say, colored images into black and white. We can do any of the effects we can do in the other 2 software pieces, so Affinity Photo and Designer. And we can, in the persona mode, we can basically take on that persona of the other software and do adjustments directly in Publisher without having to redo things. So last week we looked at how do we import images, how do we take images, capture them from different software, so photo from Designer, and then the JPEGs, PNG, TIFFs, the different formats, and also how we can get still images right from Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve. And then we take all those images, we put them into a book published format, and then we can go from there. Now we're going to look at adding text, working in the persona mode, and then preparing for print and getting it an exported PDF that we can look at. So that's going to be our goals for today. So let's just hop over into the let me just escape from here, and we're going to go right into the software. So I have Publisher open from just where we were working on last week. So here it is. So we started doing the Creator Space Digital Arts Portfolio. So we looked about adding different text. So there's basically the text window right here, and this we can just a text frame tool. So we can put that anywhere we want, and to start creating different text boxes. And then just by clicking on these, you get all the different options here. So we can then choose the different fonts. So for example, I can go to, let's go to a chalkboard, for example. We can do something like that. And then also if I highlight it, I can change the color. So I can go right here, and then I can choose different colors to use as well. So just in designing, you always want to think about what it's going to look like, what's the contrast ratio? So, having kind of a white text over a darker colored image, that's great. Having black text can work as well. So I just want to think about how that works. Last week we looked at these master pages. So what I did was I put these 2 boxes, purple and yellow, as a master page. So that gets replicated on all the different pages, which is fantastic because then you don't have to redo it on all of them. And that's a really great and easy way to deal with your images. So let's go to page 1, and that looks nice. We're going to do one more text box here. So let's put we'll type in something here. An overview of digital arts workshops. So you can see it's too big, so I'm just going to highlight all of that. Probably go back to like a nice little Arial, make it a bit smaller. We'll go to about 15 points, and I'm going to make it, I'm going to go black, and there we go. And then from there, I'm just going to highlight it. I can center it, and voila. So that works, and that's it. Now, if I want to see, I can go to different views. So I can, split view, single view, go to different pages, and go like that. In terms of document saving, we talked about this last week. So you want to always save as you go. So I'm just going to save as I work along, and we go from there. Now, in terms of, I'm going to go to preview mode here, and this lets you see, what things look like in terms of how it's being published. So you can see, like how everything goes to the edges and so on. And I'm going to go out of preview mode, and then you can see these are all the edges and the borders and so on. So it gives you a good idea of what we're working with and how it's going to look. So I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger so we kind of go over. So you want to always go into these bleed lines here, these edges right over here, to make sure that your image goes right over the paper area. So I'm going to go, Command, View, I'm going to go Preview mode, Control W, and that lets me see what it's going to look like in its printed format. Okay, so let's move on to the next page. So I'm going to go over here to page 2. So page 2, I'm going to go to, let's import another image. And I'm going to put it right here. And this is a bit of a compositing image just to kind of show what things would look like. And let's make it a bit smaller. I'm just going to put it in here. And you can see it's snapping into the middle, so I know that it's centered. That's great. I'll do a little text window. I'll just say, and I'm going to talk about what it is. The river is a sample of green screen compositing as showcased during the film and video visual effects master class workshop. So that's great. Now, what I can do is, let's say, we want to change this layout. Look, we can squeeze, we can move it around, and it's going to kind of snap around as it wants to. So let's say we did let's say we had this, let's move this text box up here. And we're just going to demonstrate how to do a bit of a text that can, continue on to the next line. So I'm going to create another text box down here. And then what I'm going to do is, I need this one. Okay, so what we did there is we're just going to merge these two. So you can see there's this line, and I created another text box. So this is going to keep writing what I started on the first line, so I can write a whole story. And watch what happens now. So as I go to type here, this workshop explored the essentials of compositing and using Fusion by Blackmagic Design to create new video images. So now, as I move this around, you can see it's going to keep adding more up or down. So this is basically a linked text box that spills over from one to the next, and it's very useful. Now we can say, okay, well, let's maybe make this image a bit bigger. And again, I'm going to, Command Z if there's any issues. And what I'll do here is we're just going to center it like that again. I'm just going to go full screen here on this as well so we can see everything. And that's it. So that's our text. And again, if I go to Control W, we can preview it and see what it's going to look like in the printed kind of image. Okay, so now I'm going to just scroll over to the other side here, and we're going to place another image. And you can see this one's really big, so we're going to scale it down. I'm going to print it over here. So here, up here again at the top, if we look at this, these are our bleed areas. So we want to do that to make sure that it looks nice in our final image. I'm going to leave a little bit of border, and we know it's right in the middle because it tells me with that green line. Okay, so let's do the same thing here. I'm going to create a bit of a text box, and we can keep telling the story. And flower is a photo that was post-processed during the Affinity Photo Post-Processing Photography Workshop. And that's it. So you can see now I got my page 1, my cover, page 2, page 3, and we'll continue from there. So now, again, I'm going over to the image here. I'm going to place another image, narrative editing still, put that in here. So we can kind of play with, where images are. I'll just center this one, or let's put it up kind of on the side like this. And same thing, I'm going to make a text box. This still image is captured from Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve editing software. The image is taken from the Advanced Narrative Film Editing Masterclass. And so on. So you can, whatever the text is going to be, and we can have, different images lining up, and we figure it out from there. Okay, let's go to the next page, page 5. And I'm going to go to my next one. Calling with terminals. And let's make this one really big. We'll go right to the edge. So again, this is the middle of the page right here. So we can go edge to edge like so. And you can see here, it's telling me this red lineup is lining up with the other image next to it. So it will be, look in line. Put some text maybe down here. Oops. So here I'll say Collingwood terminals is a photograph turned into a digital illustration using the Affinity Designer software. This image was created as part of the digital illustration workshop. There we go. Continuing on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start deleting some of these pages because we have too many pages. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go to page 6. I have one more image, I believe. Creator Space book demo. Okay, and here we can always explain what our front cover is with a bit of a note here. So again, the green line says that it's centered. Niagara Falls in watercolor is a digital illustration painted on top of a photo using the Affinity photo software. This image was created as part of the Affinity photographic design workshop. There we go. Okay, so there we go. That's a bunch of our pages. And let's see what else we have here. Go to the desktop. I'm going to edit the image. Just looking at the bit of a crop tool. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Oh, let's go back here. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Oh, there we go. I'm going to do it right in here. It seems to be causing me a little grief there. Okay, so here we go. So I'm just going to edit that and put a little bit of a crop tool like that. There we go. And that's it. So there's our 7 pages of a workshop, of our published book demo. So here we go. So here's the page 1. I'm going to just change this font. I'm not too fond of it. Let's get something a little bit brighter. There we go. That looks nice. Okay, so we have that. Page 2. So we added the graphics, text. So this text box, you can see it matches itself down to here. It's linked to it, so it keeps writing as an overflow, which is really simple to then continue typing. And then we've added graphics, text, and so on. Okay, so now what happens if we want to stylize things a little bit more? So up here at the top, you'll see we have these personas: publisher persona, which is what we're working in, designer, and photo. So the great thing is I can actually go into this. Oops. I can click this asset, So you can see each page has, text and graphics. I go to this one, it has the next images, the next layout, right? So the layers are represented here on this side. Here's our normal persona of the regular software publisher. Now I'm gonna hit photo. And what it's doing is now I can deal with this image, Niagara Falls. I can make it black and white. And look at that, I can do different things with it. I can give it a, play with the greens. I can play with anything I want. Right? I can go to hue, saturation, luminance. Go right here, I can shift. I'm doing actually the whole image there in that case, so we don't want to necessarily do that. So I just want to go right to this layer here. And let's get an adjustment just for that. There we go. So now we're just dealing with that image itself. So look, we can do a total adjustments and play around with it, just like we would in the photo software. Okay, great. That's fine. Maybe we want it just black and white. And now, oops, we did it to the whole thing again. There we go. Right, so we can quickly just make things black and white, and that's in the persona mode. Now let's look at the same idea. Let's go to another image. I'll go back to so it's just right up here. We're basically just changing our persona: publisher, designer, photo. So let's go to our next image. Let's go to this one and say, okay, let's go again to the photo one, persona, and let's say we want to play with the exposure. Right, so we can make it darker one stop. We can go to the default and we can just play with what our exposure is. Maybe we want it a little bit brighter. Right, so we can do these direct adjustments directly in there, which is really a fantastic persona feature. Okay, so let's go back to publisher and we'll look at this one here, which is something that was done in designer, and we'll just go to the designer personas. We can play with some of the styles. And this is where we can, do different effects, inner glows, or let's go to different styles, right? So we can do these kind of poster designs. Right, so we can, let's say we want that, right? So that's something that's available in designer. We can do it right there. We can go to our text styles. Let's say we want to do something with the text. Do line above and change, see what that then looks like. So we'll go over here and you can see what it did was we did that line above, right? So something that you could do in designer, we can do right here in publisher. And that's just how we keep working on it. So that's what we can do in terms of making it all work. And that's it. Then we just save it again. And yeah, and you'll just need to make sure your publisher is 1.9. I do apologize, it was still at 1.8 version on this particular computer. Yeah, all our library computers are all set up for 1.9 and ready to go in the persona mode, so there won't be any issue in doing that installation. So that's fantastic. Now, in terms of what else we need to do is how do we work in getting everything ready for publishing and printing. So what I like to always recommend is if you do have a printer, or if you're going to be printing, so the focus here was to do something digital. So this could just be a PDF attachment that could go like to your website. It could just be a link. you can put it in like a cloud drive and it can link to it. People can maybe download it as a sample book, and that's how you can access it. Now, if you want to print these, I always recommend doing at least some sort of a test proof. And really, you can do this on the cheap side. So you can go, local photocopying store. You can send it, see what it looks like on a photocopier. If it looks pretty good, then a higher printing place will just look that much better. So even use your own printer. So if you can just do like kind of a print, see what it looks like, because you're going to notice all the little issues. If there's like a bit of a bleed problem, there's a bit of white peeking out, all those kinds of things you can see. You can spend $1 printing it. You can spend just your own printer printing it and just your own ink, and it will avoid things. So if you're going to end up printing like 100 copies of it, you want to see some sort of proof. Otherwise, also try and get a proof from the printing place if it's not a big extra cost. And that way you can see. Usually it's a digital proof, but that's why I still recommend if you are going to print to paper, do some sort of a test print, because you'll see some anomalies or issues that will come out and be prevalent in that printing process. So it's really important to do that. Now, in terms of what else we can do with the publisher software. So once we go to export, let's just go back to the program here. If we want to export, we can then export, and we can decide how we want to export. So all spreads, current spread, all pages, and so on. Now, typically we'd want to do like a PDF spread. So we can go PDF for print. We can do digital high quality for export, PDF flat. So let's have a look at these differences here. So PDF, I'm going to do an export, and I'm going to find this my desktop. Go to that the workshop zone, publisher demo here, new folder, book exports, create. PDF for print. There we go. It's going to export it through. Okay. And what does that look like? It's right in here. And book exports. And let's open this up and just have a look at what this looks like. So here we go. Page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's ready to be printed. Right? So that's all of our work ready to export and print. So that's one way. Now the other way we can do it is, let's look at some of our other options. Export, again, PDF. Let's do press ready. Export, and I'm going to go PDF, press ready. And this way we can get a good sense of what's required to make this happen. Okay, now here's the press ready. So same idea there. It just makes it a bit bigger. Let's look at this, 6.8. Oh, not really that different. Okay, so next, let's have a look at export. Okay, and then, so we can do more. And what I want to do too is we can do include printer markers. Okay, so let's try this one now. Oops. Or include printer markers. Close. Okay, export. I'll do press ready like that. Okay, I'm going to replace that, and let's have a look at what this means. Okay, there we go. Okay, and here this gives us all our printer markers. So it's all, you can see it's all press ready with crop lines. So that's another way we can do it. So it's printer ready, and then everything can get cut and cropped. So this is if you're printing it. This is what you'd want to be able to do. Now one more thing here is export, and let's have a look at this setting here under PDF. So we're going to go digital high quality. So this should be basically what we want to do if we want to do this as a digital book demo, digital print. Save. And we'll just have a comparison of some of the file size variations here between these two. Digital print. So here we go. And you can see it's quite easy to read. Now the other thing, so it's 36.1 meg, so it gets pretty big, but it's a really nice high quality. So the last thing that we want to be able to do is if we export, we can also say high quality, all spreads. PDF, PDF flatten. And this will make it a little bit different so that it just has like pages, PDF flatten. Let's do that one. And this will give you a good sense of all the different options in these PDF formats, which we'll export to get things going. So let's just flatten everything down, and let's just have the file size. See, 4.6 meg, so it's a lot smaller. So that's kind of a nice format to be able to work with. So we can do some additional ones too. So we can do like a JPEG. We can do the individual images. We can do just one page, and kind of go from there. PDF for export. Let's look at one more setting here and just see what this looks like. Book demo for export. Great. And just see what that is. So we had the print ready, press ready, digital high quality, flatten, just making different. The flattening takes all the layers out because PDFs can still be broken down into layers. And let's just have a look at what this last one did for us too. Desktop, here we go, book exports. For export 33. Yeah, so this is still a pretty big file image, and you can see here we can look these through and get a good idea of. But again, here's our print ready with the line markings, right? So this is that crop line, so the printing place will cut there. And you can see it's just under there's a bit of a bleed, and then everything lines up with those markers and these crosshairs and so on. So it's really a great way to make sure that your printing works out well. Now, the one thing too is just make sure if you are gonna print, so digital ready is digital ready. We did our digital print. We did our flatten one, and let's just have a comparison, one more comparison here of what is the smaller file size like. So I'm going to do file, export, PDF, and we're going to say digital small size. Let's just have a look at what that means. Digital small, just for the comparison of what the image will be like. Okay, so digital small, 4.7 megs. So that's pretty nice. That's a pretty reasonable file size for sure. Yeah, so that's a nice quality. And zooming in on it. Now we're not seeing too much pixelation. So you just want to make sure that your print is still looking pretty nice. And that's it. So that's all our main type of file exporting, just the PDF. We can also export a specific page. So if we go to, let's say this one, and I say file, export, we can just, instead of spreads, we can just say current page. And let's go digital high quality, current page, export. And it's page 5. So it's a way that you can also just bring you know, the specific elements into play. And here we go, page 5. So it's just going to be that one page, right, versus the whole thing. So that's a quick way to get one page out versus the whole document. So it's a really convenient way. So anyways, so that's pretty much what we need to do for the publisher thing. So we prepared our images, we placed them in here, we created a book that's 7 pages, we placed all our images, we did text boxes, we used persona mode to change some of to make this image black and white, to make this image a little bit different in exposure. We added some text work through the designer, through text files, and then we did exports as our image. So it's a very, very intuitive, quick, and easy piece of software to use. It's you know, what you see is what you get, and that's really important with these digital publishing tools. Low cost, and again, you can come to the libraries and use the software directly there. And I really encourage you to do that. So yeah, again, you can visit you know, all our library partners to use the iMac computers. So they're loaded with Affinity Publisher, this software, and then also Photo Designer and Resolve. So if you have projects, you can create all the exports and prepare your images just like I showed you the first week. And yeah, so again, thanks to all our partners in making this project happen. We have the Canada Council for the Arts. We have our library partners, Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. I hope that was an enjoyable overview of how to get some images prepared from all the different types of software as possible. So again, you can always export JPEGs, PNGs from any software you're using. Resolve was a little bit trickier. We had to do the still image and we did an export. All the other softwares are basically designed to do an export, or save as is sometimes the option. You get the image as high quality as you can. You don't want to compress too much. Then you can work on it in Publisher directly, bring it in, prepare a book that could be printed, or it could be digitally showcased as well for a website or online portfolio. Now, you know, in terms of the image prep, try to you know, keep things as true to their original colors. So if it looks very different from your high quality image, let's say in a photo, and then all of a sudden it's really compressed or dark, something probably happened. So just look back at what that is and why that's happening, and you can always brighten it up. So yeah, that's the main thing. Just you know, prepare these portfolios, and I think this can be a really good companion piece. So if you have, let's say, an art display or gallery showing with a bunch of your photos or drawings, why not put it together as a book? If you're a mixed media artist and you have some images from films and from videos, from photos, from illustrations, from animation, put it together as stills, and it can be a great portfolio book. It's there's still something, you know, quite useful in having a portfolio published book. So digital publishing is a fantastic complementary tool and a way to bring all these mediums together. Now, again, with printing, try to always print on paper so you can really see what you're getting before you go and invest a lot of money in getting something published without a printed proof. So always consider some sort of a printed proof before you go into 100 copies, for example. And also really have a discussion with wherever you're printing to make sure that you're delivering what they want. So do they want the paper, the crosshairs, and the cut marks and alignment marks? Do they want all that? They don't want that? Find out what they need and what's best for delivery for them. So again, you can email me, tom@tbmcs.ca. You can rewatch these right from this link where you are right now, and then follow along and create your own digital published portfolio book as well. So again, thanks for joining us. Really hope you had some good takeaways and learn how to take your digital art and make it into a book, published book piece. That's it for now. Have a great rest of the day, and be sure to join us for our next upcoming workshops as well. All the best. Take care.